how to make an easy little girl's dress. First, you need to pick out your fabric, your lining fabric, your cutting devices and weights, and the pattern you want to use. Once you have your fabrics, cut out however many pattern pieces you have out of both the fabric and the lining fabric. Once you have the pieces cut out, face the like fabrics together on the right sides and pin and sew the shoulder seams on both the lining and the regular fabric. Once you have the shoulder seams sewn, place the fabric and the lining fabric right sides together. Pin and sew the neck and the arm seams of the two fabrics together. Cut little slits into the curved edges so that the curves sit flatter once the bodice is turned inside out, but make sure that the cuts aren't too deep or else the seams will fall apart. Next, sew the center back pieces right sides together. Once there are notches around all of the rounded edges and the back center seams are sewn together, turn the bodice inside out through the shoulder seams. It may take a little time and a little bit of work, but you can do it. Face the sides of the bodice right sides facing and sew the sides together. Repeat on the other side. This step is optional, but I like to top stitch all of the seams down to make it look more professional. Once you're done, serge or zigzag stitch along the bottom of the bodice to prevent further fraying. This is an optional step, but I ironed the bodice after I zigzag stitched the bottom. Measure the length around the bottom of the bodice. I wanted the dress to be 13 inches long, so I added an inch to make 14 inches the length of the skirt, and 25 was the measurement of the bottom of the bodice, so I times it by 2 to get the width of the skirt. The skirt could either be made at a 50-inch by 14-inch rectangle or two 25-inch by 14-inch rectangles sewn together. I chose the one long rectangle. Once the rectangle is cut out, serge or zigzag stitch the upper and lower parts of the fabric to prevent from future fraying. Face the rectangle right sides together and sew down the side seam. Once the side of the skirt is sewn together, gather the top so that the length of the skirt matches the bottom of the top. Once you have gathered the skirt, pin it in place to the bottom of the bodice and sew the skirt and the bodice together. Hem the bottom of the skirt by folding it up once underneath the skirt and sewing it down. Now all you have to do is close up the back. You can either use a zipper, buttons, or a clasp. I chose to use a snap clasp. Lay out the back of the bodice together to the way you want it to sit, and measure and mark where you want the clasps to be. Check the placement of the clasps, because once you insert them, you can no longer take them out without damaging the project. Clamp the snap clasps into place, and your project is done. You can iron the dress to give it a final professional look, but that's optional.